Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. You will not believe what I just found. I just pulled into Kentucky and I pulled off at this little roadside pull-off which goes to a state park down this way. Some cool history here. I was just gonna check it out and then I saw this. Oh my goodness. I have always said that if I am in the right place at the right time, I will see bunnies, and guess what? This guy is right here. A bunny. Mind blown. Today is gonna be a good day. Yes. Now this was not a planned stop. It's as soon as you come over the Mississippi. It is gorgeous here today. As you can see, everything is lush and green. There's amazing flowers, but despite that, the sky looks like it's about to pour down rain. So we're off to our adventure, which ironically enough has something to do with the river and the rain. So let's get going. Here we go. Okay, a little confusion here. I was about to get in the van and it occurred to me that one of the signs says Illinois. The Rock says Kentucky. I have no idea where I am. I have no idea. I have never been to this part of the country before in this little section. So, this could take some evaluation, but we're on our way to Paducah, Kentucky. So Kentucky is the end destination. And I wanted to go to this state park also, but I think since it might rain and we have an end destination that is water dependent, we're just gonna get on down the road a little bit. We'll leave this for next time, once I figure out where exactly I am. That's the thing about me traveling the way I do. Sometimes things just start to blur together, and that's definitely been the case on this trip. I left out of Texas, went through Arkansas, ended up in Tennessee, went back to Arkansas, went to Missouri, and now am in ? I do actually believe this might be Illinois, in which case this is my first adventure in Illinois since I started the channel. We might have to do something while we're in Illinois on another episode, just for good time's sake. So keep your eyes open for that. But now we're gonna hit the road and go across another bridge, which I think is actually the bridge that takes us into Kentucky. So we're literally just in the tiniest of corners of Illinois. You know, it is what it is. Still counts. Okay, now we are officially in Kentucky. This is all starting to make sense now. So we had to go over the Mississippi into Illinois, and then we had to go over the Ohio into Kentucky, which is, interestingly enough, part of the reason that we're going to Paducah, the Ohio River. And we're not actually that far. It says we're about 33 miles away from that crossing, so I'll see you guys when we get to Paducah. Okay, adventurers, we have arrived in Paducah, and I parked Dimples right over here, but I'm walking next to this. Look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, these are the Paducah flood walls. Now, the flood walls are, of course, right next to the river, but along this wall right here, you'll find some of the coolest pieces of history depicted in art ever. Like, this is just the neatest thing. I think I'm gonna go all the way down to this side and walk you guys this way so you can see a little bit more, but oh my goodness. Now, my parents came through this area a while back and showed me some of the pictures, and I was just in awe. This was such a neat place, and I thought the detail alone was worth sharing with you guys. You never know what you're gonna find whenever you're exploring, and on a day like today where the weather is a bit off, I thought it was only fitting to go and check out the river and the walls. Well, the sun is trying to peek out just a little bit. So this might turn into a little bit less of a gloomy day after all. We shall see though, we shall see. Now, along this river walkway, you'll find a lot of different kinds of things that indicate different parts of history for the Paducah area, including this historic marker, but there's also some informative signs that you're gonna have to come and check out about what made this port here in Paducah so important and what it took to secure it so it can be used even today. Very fascinating stuff. Beautiful area here. Nice green space, a beautiful walkway on this side over here, and of course there's a nice little boat launch also where people are coming and bringing their boats down in this area. But off to the signs we go, off to the signs we go. One stop along the way won't hurt anything though. This actually talks about Paducah Harbor. It says the deep protected water between Owen Island opposite and the Kentucky shore has been a major base for commercial navigation throughout Paducah's history. Every type of barge and boat used in the Mississippi Valley has been built, repaired, manned, and supplied here. And of course, I think you can kind of see how just in the little bit of time I've been here, barges are going up and down the river at a breakneck pace, taking things and supplying other things. It's fascinating to watch, and I could literally sit here for hours just watching the boats go up and down the river. It's just really cool, but it is kind of cold. So we're gonna get on and go over to the walls and let me show you why we came here. Now, in addition to learning more about the river and its importance, the train has a pretty relevant importance here as well. And so as you're coming down by the murals, we find this train right here, which was dedicated in 1963 to the city of Paducah. Now, the train here in Paducah has a lot of semblance as to what it did in the community. In fact, this particular train is a baggage mail combination car, and it has a terminal caboose also. So super, super cool stuff, right? But this actually came from the original Illinois Central Railway, which is now known as the Canadian National Railway. So kind of cool stuff right there. But another few things that you might want to know about this guy as I show you the train. Paducah's railway heritage actually began in 1855 and continued on for the next 150 years, stretching 60 miles into Tennessee, but also spreading north, west, south, and east. It now involves 3 major rail systems and is part of the Transcontinental Connection, which is constructed over the Ohio River Bridge to Illinois. In 1917, the completion of the Illinois Central Railroad of the massive Paducah locomotive shops on Kentucky Avenue in 1929. Over the years, the Illinois Central Railway has evolved and is now a regional railway connecting Paducah to Louisville and a private company that rebuilds diesel locomotives, adding the latest technology for domestic use. So now it makes a little bit more sense as to why there's a massive train right here by the floodwalls. I don't know why they placed it directly here, but it's probably because this is part of their historic district. Now that we have made it to the end of the wall area, I just want to let you guys know there are some walls beyond this that do not currently have murals, and I can only imagine that in the future they will continue to add to these because, oh my goodness, they are so magnificent. Let's start off by looking at what they provide to give you some context for the photos, and then I'll just show you the murals. They're awesome. Now, each one of the murals has its own individual plaque telling not only only who made it possible, but what it is depicting. And these are things that you're going to have to come here and read for yourself because there's just so much cool information. This one, for example, is the Paducah Coca-Cola Bottling Company. It was founded in 1903. And look at this. Now, if you look really carefully, you can see tons of detail in this. Not only is there the historic building, but each person has a very unique facial expression. There's a lot of detail in their clothing. You can see the cars. You can see all of the unique things that make Paducah awesome. And just to kind of give you an idea as to how big these things are, again, this is a flood wall, so they're wanting to keep the waters from coming over and filtering into the city and destroying it. So they have to be tall, but believe it or not, I barely come up to where the top part of the hood of this car is. Now, just for context, let's back out here. There's the hood of the car, and it just keeps going and going. So I don't even make it halfway up the wall, and I am 5'7". So these walls are very large and in charge, to say the least, and absolutely amazing. This one right here depicts Western Baptist Hospital, which was opened in 1953. Now, I was coming into Paducah today and I passed this hospital, which is still functional today. It is huge and a major hospital in the area. So very cool to see its earliest days. And you see that the nurses and doctors are all depicted through the side panels. And then the grand opening was taken from a photo that was actually used in the local newspaper. This one right here depicts the union labor that helped to build Paducah. Not only the community itself, but also the very flood wall which we're looking at right now. Unions in construction, business, and industry really helped the middle class in Western Kentucky during a time that money was a bit more scarce. In fact, during World War II, the unions were considered to be one of the biggest things that kept places like Paducah alive. At various locations throughout the country, we have seen various Carnegie public libraries. Well, Paducah has one, and this is a depiction of the Carnegie Public Library. This was actually something that was celebrated as a result of 100 years of service. So that's why it has a mural here. This mural is dedicated to Riverside Hospital, which was actually founded on a Civil War site at Fort Anderson in the municipality in 1905. It's at the corner of 4th and Clay Street. So I hope you can see why I brought you here. Not only is this a historic moment to kind of glance through time at various points in Paducah history and see some of the cool art, but also it tells you the relevance of some of these places even now and tells you where they're located. So if you're interested in going and finding out more, you can at those locations, which is super awesome. This next one though, this one is awesome. Now, at one point in time, there were fortification areas along the rivers, and they looked kind of like this. In fact, this was a U.S. Marine hospital, and you can see that there are walls very similar to that of the ones we're looking at right now, only these were used for protection. You can see the tents in the back there where people would have stayed, and then there's the hospital. In 1910, the first year of Boy Scouts of America, there was actually a troop right here in Paducah. Did you know right here in Paducah, they have one of the only uranium enrichment facilities? In fact, the only one here in the United States. It's pretty crazy to know that they are also called the Atomic City. In fact, as a result of this particular interesting fact, these two murals go hand in hand with that. One talks about how the population more than doubled in a very short amount of time and how industry went way on up as a result of this one simple thing. It really changed the face of Paducah as we know it today. Now, if you have ever wondered what it might be like to be on one of those barges pushing things through the river, this is what that perspective might look like right here. In fact, the guys who do this are considered to be extremely highly trained and highly skilled because they have to be able to keep things moving as they go down the water without causing any kind of problems, not only with the shoreline, but with other people who are doing exactly the same thing that they are. But also they have to be able to navigate through the really fickle weather along the river. So it's a pretty interesting vantage point right here. Various points of Paducah history are celebrated on these walls. In fact, this is July 2nd, 1996, when the city of Paducah was visited by marine royalty. All three of the Delta Queen steamboats docked simultaneously at the port of Paducah. But it isn't just about the river boats that go down. It's actually about all of the things that come from the river also. In fact, in the latest part of the 19th century, mussels were harvested and they were turned into what looked like pearlized buttons from these very ports. Oh no, guys, it is starting to sprinkle. I knew this was coming. I saw it on my weather app. I knew it was happening. We're gonna go through a few more of these so you can again see why you need to come and visit Paducah, and then we're gonna wrap it up. But wow, these next few are beautiful. Like pages from a real life scrapbook. This is amazing. You can see here that it says thousands of visitors are flocking to the city today for a glimpse at the superb attraction, Paducah's first homecoming. Wow. This was actually in 1913, and they held their homecoming celebration to excite and entertain the public. It was pretty cool, as you can see. Can you imagine so much ice that it covers everything all the way to Illinois? Well, we were in Illinois earlier and that was about 30 miles away, so that's a pretty big ice storm to say the least. It was around New Year's of 1938 when this happened, and they thought that this would really cause a huge issue because the entire river was frozen. Can you imagine the very river that we were just looking at? Completely frozen solid. Now, on the opposite side of the coin, and the reason that the flood walls exist, flooding has occurred in this area many times. In fact, this is one depiction of a great flood in 1832. It says here that the first county seat was Braxton Small, and the original courthouse was in Wilmington. But flooding caused all of that to change. Now, I worked my way kind of backwards in history because I wanted to share this particular section with you also. In this area, you can find a variety of different Native American sites that are absolutely fabulous. But also here in Paducah, you can learn a little bit more about the earliest people through depictions on the walls. But one of the things that I really like is that as you kind of do this, you see various aspects of how life has changed so vastly and how the land itself has also changed as a result. It's pretty fascinating, and again, you're gonna have to come out and see this in person. It is so awesome and definitely something worth stopping at. Now, I am going to try to do a couple other things here in the Paducah area if everything works out. I have to find out if they're open or not, but if they are, you'll see those on upcoming episodes. Remember, guys, we are not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and today, even despite the rain, it has been that. Till next time, guys. Bye!